Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Heartland Mamas. I'm Murray Brio.
And I'm Heidi Henry, coming to you from two socially distant studios at the edge of the Great Red Divide, hoping that tonight is the last time we are at the edge of the Great Red Divide and not an island in the Sea of Red. You can find all of our previous episodes at heartlandmamas.com, on all podcast platforms, on YouTube, and proudly carried by the Demcast USA Network. Murray, today is the day that we've been girding our loins for and working toward for 4 years. It's been a long time.
It's been the longest 100 years of my life.
That's how it feels to me, too.
It's only been 4 years.
I know.
And it actually feels like it has been 10,000. I don't know. One week in the Trump news cycle is a lifetime.
Oh, my God.
You cannot even dig into one thing.
No.
Every reporter, journalist out there could pick one scandal and go at it, and there would still be leftover scandals. I swear.
The scandals, the subversion of our democracy, the subversion of humanity, of decency, of common decency, of Christianity, of our relationships with our allies has been subverted, torn asunder, buried alive. We have seen things in the last 4 years that we never thought we would see as Americans. And it's been really difficult to see how it's divided our nation. It's like Rupert Murdoch and his Fox News experiment. His hard work has finally come to fruition in the form of Donald Trump. You know, I thought John Boehner was the worst one they could ever come up with, or Paul Ryan, but I was wrong. Mitch McConnell is probably the worst, but you know, it's like you have so many names to choose from as far as being the worst enablers of the worst of the United States.
So that's, and that's why I think we have seen such an engagement in activity in voting. There has been an uptick in every state.
Yeah.
Already they have received 133 million ballots. Woo! Okay, guys, the day is just going to go longer, and I'm just going to get goofier because it's election day.
Yeah,
and it's a very sort of weird thing.
And Murray, both you and I were out earlier today for most of the morning, trying to
poll watching,
making sure there was no shenanigans. That was. And shenanigans in my area not going to be as big a deal as maybe in your area because there's fewer people that live here and our polling places are further apart. But still, the likelihood or the possibility of shenanigans in this election is like no other. I've never seen a time in my life where people literally did not trust the Postal Service, did not trust something that was started.
Speaking of the Postal Service, there was a big win about an hour ago. A federal, which is right now is the deadline, a federal judge ruled that the U.S. Post Office had to scour every facility in the 5 states that they are slowing down, or that mail has been slow.
Right.
To ensure that every vote gets counted. Because part of the problem in those 5 states, including Pennsylvania, Iowa, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin,
Florida,
Georgia. They have a rule, Georgia's definitely one, that says all votes must be in and received by election day.
Right.
So most places have a grace period that goes along with it, or if it's postmarked. However, these 5 states, think about it.
With the exception of military.
These 5 states are swing states,
right,
or important for the electoral process.
Yeah.
And we're slowing down the ability for people to have their vote counted. And all of this fraud that has been alleged and all of this shenanigans, as we said in the beginning, everything that's happening right now, none of it really matters, because what matters is that we are going to the polls.
Yeah.
And a federal judge just gave us some hope that this is a real thing. The federal judge is like, hey, you find in Pennsylvania, Iowa, you find every single ballot in every single facility, and you get it to those locations by 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is exactly now. Because it will. Joan Padilla! Joan, we want to talk to you tonight. Oh my gosh, today is the day. Guys, I'm sorry to sidestep here, but one of the amazing women that we know and have become good friends with is Joan Padilla. And she is running for the 71st House District in Illinois. And Joan is in. She is in an amazing race. She is fantastic. And we hopefully will be able to catch up with her tonight. You got this, Joan. Vote, Joan. Vote, Joan. I can electioneer because I'm not in the area.
We met so many outstanding, qualified candidates. And Joan was one of those that we thought. And I told you, I said, there's sometimes that I meet somebody and I say, I'd move districts to go vote for them. And Joan was one of those people. It's like, she's amazing. I was so glad my son got to cast a vote for her this election cycle. That was very exciting. So, but, Marie, you and I met amazing people. My husband and I were just talking about it today. We were talking about how many new Democrats we've met in the last 4 years because of Donald Trump, how many activists we've gotten to know. We know everybody who's run from county board, clear to the man that, not know, but have met, clear to the man that's going to be our next president. We've met them. We've talked to them. We've gotten to know them. And we know that these are really good people and that we're in a really great position to have a better United States, a more healed, cohesive United States with a pathway going forward. We've been stuck in the 50s and 60s as being the icon of what we should be, when we've always should have been looking forward and planning forward. And we stopped planning forward sometime around Reagan. Reaganomics kind of stuck us in place, made us look back over our shoulder of what we were in the past and not look forward anymore. And that's got to stop.
Well, we just had another one of the amazing women that we have gotten to know over the cycle pop in on our page today, and that's Chris Adcock.
Chris!
So like Heidi was talking about, the mamas don't just focus on Illinois. The mamas are out all over the country. We have been to Nebraska, to Iowa, to Wisconsin,
Kansas,
to Michigan, to Kentucky, to Ohio. We go everywhere because we want to know what's really going on, and we want to bring their voice. And Chris is a prime example.
Yeah.
Southwest Iowa. Iowa's on the verge of flipping, right? Iowa could go for Biden, and you could get Teresa Greenfield, which Heidi and I have been pumping and hoping it happens. And we have this amazing woman running for state legislature, Chris Adcock. She was on our show earlier, and it's been tough. Her district is geographically insane.
It's huge.
Which I think is something that a lot of urban voters don't understand. Is the sheer geographic, the expanse of the rest of the country.
It's vast.
You forget how big it is.
Yeah.
And these amazing folks have gone through a pandemic, gone through the hatred, and they have pushed through in ways that are unbelievable. And it's an honor to have gotten to see them. Maybe we'll get to check in with Chris tonight as well in our live
That would
stream.
be awesome. Chris, if you've got time, be sure and let us catch up with you and see how things are going with you. We have met so many people, and talking to people in some of those traditionally red areas has been a real eye-opener. Like I said, Marie, we got to know so many really cool people over the last 4 years, including each other, that wouldn't have come to this point without the horrifying reality of Donald Trump, right?
Absolutely. And so there are so many good things about his past presidency. However, we're done. So 2,000 years in 4-year period, insane news cycles, banana pants, chaos, throwback to the 1950s, crossed with Nixon. It's the worst of every GOP scandal rolled into one. And today we can take back our democracy. Today we take back our democracy.
I'm so excited for today. And everybody keeps saying, how you feeling? How you feeling? I feel great. I feel like the 4 years of fight that I have put in, of activism, of phone calls, of text banks, of door knocking, of running for office, of dropping lit, of one fundraiser after another, after gatherings, after dinners, after phone calls, after podcast, after poll watching, everything that you and I have done, and that so many activists have come out of the woodwork to do. People who never thought. I have a friend of mine that's in her 70s that said, I never thought I would be an activist, but yet here I am. I'm like, good for you. So that's really cool. But Mary, I'd like to talk about.
Well, and one thing I want to talk about. You made a comment about someone who said, I never thought I'd be an activist at 70, right?
Right.
And become an activist at 70, not continue. Because I think once you start, you're kind of stuck. It's just what you do.
Yeah.
But so we have to talk about this Gen Z factor here, okay? These young kids, not the millennials, and there's nothing wrong with millennials. We're not ditching millennials here, but Generation Z is the first generation to grow up in preschool with active shooter drills. They're the Stoneman Douglas generation. They're realistic. They remind me of Gen X. They're not, they're just very matter of fact about things, and they are turning out in record numbers. Today, when we were going around to the different polls, we saw a record number. Folks are letting us know what a record number of first-time voters there are, and they have already seen more Gen Z voters than millennials in the 2016 election. So I say it's all in good favor. I say it's looking good.
Yeah.
But I do think we need to talk about what the pundits are saying as far as what tonight is going to mean. Early returns, what states are calling. So I think we do need to let our listeners talk. We need to talk a little bit about that.
Right. Murray, we did last week, we talked a lot about the Senate races, and we'll talk about that. We'll cover it again here in a little bit. But I want to talk about, how we see it. You and I look at numbers every single day, and every single day I look at the polls. I look at how the early voting numbers, which are astronomical. I mean, there are some places that will be 80 to 100% voter turnout, which is unheard of, right?
Colorado is already at 80% voter turnout.
Amazing. And here's what I think. I think that this is going to be a landslide victory for Joe Biden. I think by midnight, shenanigans aside, I think it'll be called for him. I think there'll still be some counting later on, but I think it'll be over. I think we'll know by midnight tonight who our president's going to be. And I'm going to go solidly for Joe Biden. And, not the candidate you and I were pulling for, but the candidate we fell in love with and decided that, he's the right healer that we need right now to bring our country back together. I posted a picture yesterday of him sewing up an American flag, sewing it back together.
I saw that.
And I just loved it because that's how I feel. I feel like, here's Uncle Joe, and he's going to sew us back together and make us whole again, because we are so fractured. And if Joe can bring forward the ideas of reinstating the fairness doctrine, controlling the virus, develop an accord with, or get back in the Paris climate accord, if he can help us get things straightened out with Iran, put Putin and Kim Jong-un on their heels again, I think we're well on the pathway to being a better nation, a stronger nation.
I agree. And, I think that we know what states are going to go blue, right? We know pretty much sure which ones. There isn't going to be any big surprises there. There's a few red states that aren't going to be any big surprises there either.
No.
But, a lot of folks are saying that early voting, of course, when the results come in for those states that report early voting right away, as soon as the polls close, that Biden will jump to a early lead, because they're banking on Democrats having been the ones that voted early or by mail. And I guess statistically, if you look at the numbers, that could be. But if you look at key battleground areas and certain counties, I'm seeing as much, if not more, of a day of push with Democrats as I am Republicans. And a large portion of those Trump supporters are the elderly. And the elderly have been voting absentee by mail for years.
Well, so let's talk about Florida, because Florida has snowbirds, right? We all know snowbirds, and they live up here where it's really nice until it isn't, until it's cold, and then they go south. And so Florida is so used to processing early ballots, absentee ballots, from these snowbirds, and they've done it for so long. And after the debacle of 2000 with Gore Bush, they have really cleaned up their act. I think once the Florida returns are in, we're going to know. I think once Florida goes blue, and I predict that it will go blue, it's all over. And I know there's so many pathways for Biden to take to get. I know that bothers you. Doesn't bother me, because I was stunned when Florida.
That really makes me uncomfortable, because in my estimation, I don't think. And it very well may. He may be able, Florida has gone blue before. Mm-hmm. I think that there is a big push, but my concern is the Latinx community, the Cuban community. Did you see Donald Trump tweeted something in Spanish for the first time ever? His team wrote a Spanish tweet about getting out and voting in Florida. Okay, the man could care less, but I am concerned about those votes. And if he wins Florida, we can pray that he does that. The some fluke happens, because I don't want to think that.
Now, I think I told you earlier in pre-show when we talked about this, and I told you how I felt about Florida, because Florida has been, a history of going back and forth, blue, red. And I was surprised that it went red in 2016. And once it went red, I knew that the election was over, and I went to bed. It was about 9:30 at night. But here's what I can tell you about Florida. I think the Trump supporters that are there are loud and vocal and obnoxious. But I think that most of the people that live there, and I know a lot of people who live in Florida, are just so over it. They're so over the loud and the obnoxious and the, we can't have a life without being yelled at, bullied, screamed at, told to go back to our country. Rick Scott setting the state of Florida on fire with virus. The large employers like NASA, like Disney, like Universal Studios in Central Florida that have been reeling from economic closures due to COVID by Rick Scott's mismanagement, fueled by Trump's mismanagement, right? I think they're just like, we couldn't have a spring break. We did anyway. It was terrible. Everybody got sick. We really couldn't do our summer events like we planned because people were sick and not coming. People from the north, like us, we're not going to Florida right now. Their tourism dollars are so far down right now, and they know that this goes right back to Washington, D.C. It goes right back to the White House. It goes right back to Rick Scott, and they're done.
I completely agree with you on all of those points. And I just hope that they have made enough inroads for people to understand that.
Well, and Bloomberg dumped, $15 million in there last week?
Statistically, you're right. It does look good for Biden in Florida. However, I am terrified, and I will not make that call. Well, Florida will forever have a bad taste in my mouth ever since 2000. I'm sorry.
Well,
Pam Bondi, the whole 9 yards, Rick Scott stealing the election. No. Florida, I don't believe anything that comes out of that state. Yes, the people may be tired and ready to go, but I don't trust it. I'm worried.
Florida is a shenanigan state, just like South Carolina, North Carolina. But here's one that I found really interesting is Wisconsin, because Wisconsin is a dichotomy. It's like the two halves don't always equal the whole. You've got a more urban, suburban area further to the south, and then you've got the recreational north, right? And the recreational north has been just killed with, COVID shutdowns and low tourism dollars, right? I know we didn't go this year. I know almost everybody I know canceled their trip to Wisconsin this year. They're like, not going to that hotbed of virus, So when people don't go up there, it hits them hard economically. So they're hit hard by the virus. They have a Democratic governor with a Republican legislature. It's been a hot mess the entire COVID season. And the COVID season started mid-March. So you've got
I'm pretty sure that Wisconsin's going blue.
I'm sure Wisconsin's going blue. And I don't think the
I got a good feeling about Wisconsin. I think Iowa, Chris.
Uh-oh. Yeah. What?
My gut tells me.
Yeah. What does your gut tell you, Marie?
That Iowa is going to go blue.
Yeah. I hope Iowa goes blue.
Iowa's going to go blue.
And Chris Adcock, let me tell you, when Iowa goes blue within the next 2 years, Marie and I are going to be out there making sure that Kim Reynolds needs a new job.
Yeah, baby. We are going to get rid of Kim Reynolds. The mamas make that promise.
Yeah.
She awful.
We're
going to dump Joni Ernst. Come on, Iowa. Vote Teresa Greenfield.
Yeah.
Iowa, you farm folks, think about this. She is your senator. She helps decide your living and how well you do with the policies. And she doesn't know how much soybeans cost.
No, and she could have, all the time that Joni
Get
Ernst...
rid of Joni Ernst.
Yeah, all the time she's been in office, she could have done something about the infrastructure along the Missouri and has done nothing. And
all right, Heidi, we should get to our final conclusions before tonight's show.
Okay.
So, Heidi and I looked at the Harvard Review yesterday's election prediction.
Yes.
And their prediction falls as such. And as we state them, we shall agree or disagree.
10,000.
Ready?
10,000 simulations by the Harvard Political Review. Go, Murray.
Yes. And this is their prediction. Washington, Oregon, and California, blue. Biden, solid. What do you think, Heidi?
Oh, yeah. You're going to, traditionally the coast states, more the northern coast states for the eastern seaboard, the west coast, the entire seaboard goes blue. I believe that we're also going to have pickups further inland. So let's go ahead. You're going with those as blues, and I agree.
All right. The next batch, we have Idaho, Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. All right. We did this. Harvard thinks that Idaho is red, Utah's red, and that they're not sure about Nevada or Arizona.
Well, I think Arizona definitely goes blue, and with Nevada,
I agree.
We have that those shifting tectonic plates between the governor of Nevada and the mayor of Las Vegas, who cannot agree on anything. And Las Vegas is their big cash cow, right? And we're in the middle of a global pandemic. So between people saying, go back to work, your lives don't matter, and people saying, you know what, maybe we should be more cautious, there's this fight between that two. So Nevada's going to be really interesting. I'm not really sure where to call that one, but I'm going to say Arizona goes solidly blue.
I'm going to say, I'm going to agree with you that I think Arizona is going to be blue. I really do. Nevada, again, I don't know which way. Although Arizona has had a ton of money pumped in.
Yeah.
In the last 2 weeks,
right,
talking about taking away your guns. Mark Kelly will take away your guns. So
it's one of those Democrat myths. How many thousands of Democrats do you and I both know, and none of them would take away your guns? Not a one.
Right.
Except for Beto O'Rourke talking about taking away the extreme uh, hunting human guns. Nobody says that. Nobody even thinks about it. It's like, stop. Stop.
So the next ones they have Montana, and we both think Montana has a chance. It's only leaning red.
Montana's a weird one because you have a lot of people. I know a lot of people that have retired from Illinois to Montana. You have a lot of celebrities that have gone to Montana. You have a lot of people that have migrated to Montana and changed the flavor of it, especially in the more urban areas. And I think Montana is one of those ones that I think is going to throw down a new Democratic senator, but I'm thinking they're going to stay red for president. What do you think?
All right. Well, that's not a bad prediction. I have to agree with you. Of course, we're pretty sure that Wyoming is going to stay red. Colorado is solidly blue, according to Harvard, and you and I agree with that.
Totally,
100%.
And they're going to get a new. They're going to get a new senator as well.
New Mexico. That's a toss-up, man.
Really?
They have New Mexico as lean Biden, and I see New Mexico going blue.
Okay.
Now they give us a whole bunch of them. North Dakota, South Dakota, we know they're going red. Nebraska, what they don't address is Nebraska's 2nd congressional district.
Yeah,
which is a split vote, and that's going blue. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. So that will work in Biden's favor.
Right.
All right, we got Kansas.
No, Kansas, I don't know. Kansas is a tough one because red Kansas, with all that Koch brother, there's only one left, money, elected a Democratic governor, but still has an upper and lower house that are red. And they can't get health care. And health care is such a huge issue in Kansas. The time I spent out in Kansas last year, that was the buzzword, is healthcare, and the closing of all the rural hospital systems because they have no money. They didn't take Medicaid expansion. So they're really tied up in this, and they are really Kansasians. How do you say that? Kansasians? Somebody from Kansas, help me know how to say that.
But
Kansasonians?
Kansas?
Kansans? Oh, let's go with Kansas. But they're really concerned about healthcare, and they're very concerned about this ruling that's coming down. The people I've talked to on the phone, because I can't travel there now, have told me that they're really concerned about the case going through the Supreme Court that'll come up later this week on whether we're going to get rid of ACA altogether or not. They're in a blind panic because they've lost over a third of their rural hospitals in Kansas.
I gotta tell you, you know what? I think they have them solidly red. I think it's going to be leaning red.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be as solid, and I think we're going to see some good things out of Kansas.
I think another Koch brother drops off, and they could go blue.
What about Missouri? Harvard, Chris, our Harvard has Iowa going blue. Yay!
Yeah. I think Iowa does go blue,
and I think Iowa's going to go blue too.
And Iowa's
but Missouri,
I'd say red. That's like saying Kentucky.
Probably.
That's like saying Kentucky will go blue.
And we said Wisconsin's going to go blue.
Yeah.
Michigan going to go blue.
Yeah.
I think Ohio's going to go blue, and they have Ohio as a toss-up.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence on Ohio. So I'll be, they've got a really great governor there who's really tried to guide them through the pandemic. That is has done almost the same things that has been done in Michigan, but he's got an R after his name and he's male, so they leave him alone. And I think because they've done really well through the pandemic, I wonder if they won't stay red. Just wondering.
I don't know.
We're gonna have to spend
we'll have to see. And North Carolina. That one they have as a toss-up, and I'm going to have to say that one's a toss-up. I believe my gut tells me, depending on the voting being able to be counted, because we know that there's issues there. Right. Yeah. North Carolina should go blue, but with shenanigans, again, we're still on the watch there.
Shenanigan watch, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. I mean, you have to be on solid,
Shenanigan watch.
because
Michigan and Pennsylvania too.
Well, and I think more so in Pennsylvania than in Michigan. Michigan is in a real struggle with itself right now. I don't know if they know what their identity is any longer, and they are not the armed hairy bubbas patrolling the streets. That's not Michigan. My sister lived in Michigan for 30 years. I spent a lot of time up there. That's not Michigan. So I wonder how they put themselves together, after all of this. And, as much as I love Gretchen Whitmer, I just wonder if she's going to be strong enough to pull them together. I think she is, but there's so much vitriol that's in so much gasoline poured on the fire up there. It's you got to find a place for the hairy bubbas to belong. Kidnapping the governor.
Hey, I have an idea. Why don't we just send them all to Mackinac Island? We can send all the hairy bubbas to Mackinac Island. All right, guys. So we are really excited about today.
Yes.
For those of anyone who loves democracy, and we are excited because we're political geeks. I'm a huge political geek. I always have been. But we also are excited because of the civic involvement that we're seeing, because of the number of voting, because of the number of election judges, young people coming forward. And there are so many things that we have to be grateful for and amazing opportunities that we've had because of politics. Yeah. And we just want to say these are our bets. These are our gamuts. And we're really excited to be able to spend tonight with you during the election. So pop in, pop out. Check us out, and we'll be going live throughout and let you know if the mama's insight and wisdom holds up.
We'll see. We're so hopeful. I just think about, not wistfully, but I look back at the last 4 years, Marie, and never in my lifetime did I think we'd see the things that we've seen. Never.
Oh, I did.
Did you?
I called it.
Because it just shows me how fragile our democracy is. And people like me
I knew.
Who've been an environmental activist and a poverty warrior for so long, these are things that I missed. I never thought we'd see the hairy bubba, armed bubba brigade. What do they call them? The gravy?
I have no idea.
I don't know. But it's not good because they were chubby, but I'm chubby too. So
Heidi, what are you drinking tonight? Okay, I would like to just tell our listeners before we sign off, you will see a bottle of Jameson with me this evening, as well as a cup of ice. And I only drink Jameson at funerals. I drink it for RBG, and I am drinking it tonight for the death of fascism in the United States.
Oh, I like that.
Celebrating the future. So if by the end of tonight I'm kind of silly, I apologize in advance. What you drinking, honey?
Well, you know me. It's always cold Italian
Moscato.
Always very cold, very bubbly. That's if it tastes like candy. Too. That's Well, when I learned to drink when I was underage, it was slow gin fizzes. So when you learn to drink on candy stuff, it never goes away. I have an undeveloped palate, and I'm not a really big drinker. I got rid of all of that pre-college and college days. It's all gone.
Gravy seals.
I got it out of my system.
Steve just popped up and said it was gravy seals was the word you were looking for.
Gravy seals. Thanks, Steve.
All right, folks, please tune in tonight. I know you'll be watching election results. Many people are having Zoom parties, but we'll be touching base with our previous candidates, touching base with folks across the Midwest on how they're feeling about election results. And you'll be getting them on the Straight Talk at the same time. And so tune in tonight. And be sure to like,
subscribe, share. But candidates, if you want to pop in for a little bit, just send us a little message. We'll pop you right in tonight. And we want to talk to you because Murray and I both went to the big parties on election night, our own election nights, and many, many others. And we're really sad for you that you don't get that celebration, for good or bad, win or lose, with your friends that you've become so close to. I'm sad that you don't get that experience because we had it. And there'll be others, right? But so pop in and we'll celebrate together. So go ahead, Marie. Sorry, you were starting to close, and I'm like, wait.
That's all right. We'll tune in tonight, off and on, starting at 7:30 to Heartland Mamas on Facebook. Like, subscribe, share, and Heartland Mamas. You can find all of our previous episodes. So take us out, Heidi.
Heartland Mamas, MAMAS.com, on all podcast platforms, YouTube, and proudly carried on the Demcast USA network. We're so excited for the end of fascism in the United States, and I hope you are too. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you tonight.